Good morning, grade 12 ABM students. Hope to see you again. But for today, we will have another video recorded session. So I want you to listen and focus because our today's discussion is important in preparation of your statement. For your attendance today, face-to-face students, do not forget to answer the question that I have prepared for all of you. And for online students, I will just let the teacher in charge to save the username for today's discussion. Again, for face-to-face students, do not forget to give that piece of paper to your teacher that will serve as your attendance for today. Okay? You have to submit it before the class dismissed later on. And also, I have prepared a sample blank sheet of Excel for everyone. So your teacher might be giving that to you right now, or maybe your teacher in charge already gave it to you a while ago. So again, that Excel will be used for your activity today, especially to those who did not bring their laptop for today's activity. I told you last week, if possible, if it is allowed, you could bring, of course, your laptop, correct? But if you do not have, that's still okay. You could use that sample blank sheet of Excel for your activity. So we will finish the report and account form of your statement of financial position. Take note that that should be on Excel. Your sample blank sheet should be just, or let's say, that just your basis, that is just a basis for your Excel, okay? You could use that when you are making your mini task on Excel. So again, we are going to prepare for your statement of financial position. Well, last week, we did identify the elements of your SFP and we did describe each of this. We did discuss about the 5 major accounts. What are the 5 major accounts? You already have your assets, liabilities, equity, income, and expenses. So that means we also classify each of these major accounts to balance sheet and income statement, or your SCI, which is your statement of comprehensive income. Take note, in your balance sheet, you have your 3 major accounts. There will be your assets, liabilities, and equity. And for your income statement, you have your income and expenses. We did also define these following accounts and their elements. So take note of your current and non-current assets and liabilities. It's very important for today's activity. You should know how to identify these following accounts or which accounts it belongs to. Clear? You have your assets, your liabilities, and equity. This will be your major accounts that will be used in your SFP. So we need to be familiar with that. And of course, your balance sheet. You should know how to make or prepare your balance sheet. So hopefully, you could still remember your definition for the following accounts that we are going to use for the preparation of your statement of financial position. If you do have problem remembering the following accounts, you could check your module. You are free to check your module. I told you every time we have classes, you have to bring your module because it is important, right? You have there the following accounts. You could check that. If you have problem, you could scan your module, okay? So for today, of course, we are going to discuss about the statement of financial position. We are going to prepare your SFP. If you will see there on screen you have your forms of balance sheet, right? You have your report and account form. So what's the difference between the report and account form? Report form is only in vertical. So that means we are writing the accounts vertically in just one column. And for account form, we are writing the major accounts horizontally. So that means on the left side, we have your assets. And on the right side, we have also your liabilities and equity. So from this, you could already identify when does your account increases or decreases, okay? So we are going to we are going to prepare a report and account form of your SFP. So if you're going to check here, we have the pro forma of the statement of financial position. And what form is this? It's an account form. So that means we're writing the accounts vertically. So we have assets. So take note for these accounts, it has corresponding amounts. For current assets, there will be, of course, following accounts under your current assets and other accounts under your assets. We also have here liabilities and equity for your on the right side, we have liabilities and owner's equity. Take note of that. And we have also here the following trial balance. So you have to use this following trial balance for our preparation. So this will be the accounts we are going to use. So let me share to you your Excel file now. But take note, student, that we are going to apply the statement, or let's say we are going to answer activities in here. So I think everyone can see the Excel now. Students, you have to download your Excel file in Schoology, okay? The name of the file is SFP template. You could find it in your materials in Schoology. Do not forget in your FABM2 materials. So you will find that Excel and I would like you to download it. We are going to use it. So now we have here the notes. So what are we going to do now for notes? So I gave you that file also, or this sample blank sheet file, right? So kindly get your pen, of course. You're going to write the following accounts in here. But in my case, I will just automatically select the cell which it belongs to, or the appropriate amount for each of these accounts. For your cash, how much is your cash? So for your cash, we have here 20,000. So that's what I'm going to select here. And that will be the amount in here. And there is actually a formula already. Do not worry because in your Excel, there is also formula. I already provided you the formula. You just have to add actually, okay? Add only all the accounts in your cash and cash equivalent. Take note, this will be the notes that you have to take note in preparing the report and account form. How about your accounts receivable? How much is your accounts receivable? So that would be 122,000. So I'm just going to select that also. How about your allowance for bad debts? So we have here allowance for bad debts. And what does it mean if it is allowance for bad debt? And take note of your natural balance, right? Natural balance, if your asset is under credit, that means your asset decreases, okay? Again, asset decreases when it is credited. Since your asset belongs to credit or under credit, that means we have to subtract, okay? So just for a moment, so let me just write 30,000. It's very difficult to express that if I will not show it to you. Okay, let's say that we have here 30,000, correct? But take note, we do not have negative number for amount or for our currency, correct? So again, for money, we do not have negative. So we can express that through this in parentheses. But if you write that in Excel, of course, you have to write it like this. Clear? You have to subtract 30,000 from the following accounts in your assets. So we have now notes receivables. So we have notes receivables. So we have here trade, that would be 8,000. In total, we have 100,000 pesos. We already defined each of these following accounts, correct? I did define you what's accounts receivable. When we say accounts receivable, these are amounts due from your customers. So this is under, of course, credit. That means you will receive this, but it is still an account or it is still on account. How about notes receivable? It is provided or supported by promissory notes. Again, this is an inflow of your cash. That means your cash or you receive the cash, but it is still on promissory note, supported by promissory note. So that's why we have there the word notes receivable. And for the accounts receivable, it's still on account. So these are just examples of our assets. So if you do have problem identifying these following accounts, you could check your module for more information. And how about prepaid suppliers? Prepaid suppliers, we have this. So we have 15,000, and for your prepaid rent, these are examples of prepaid assets. Clear, students? This is still under your assets. But of course, this is prepaid. These are, what do you call this? Inflow of cash that was paid in advance. But take note, this payment, this asset is, this payment is an asset at the time of the payment, right? Or these are asset at the time of payment and it will become expenses through the passage of time, especially if it will not be sold to the customers, then there will be more supplies, right? Then it becomes expenses, so forth. So we have now also prepaid rent. We have your prepaid rent, 25,000 pesos. And for your prepaid insurance, we have your 10,000 pesos. In short, we have our prepaid assets already. In total, we have 50,000 pesos. And for a moment, I think I need to move the cursor, but I am actually having a hard time. Okay, I think it's connected. So we have now land. So this is still an asset, but it's under non-current asset. We did define what's non-current asset. Non-current asset is a long-term asset. So that means it could be used more than a year. Am I clear, students? Again, for your non-current assets, we have this following long-term investment. So this could be a property, plant, and equipment. So it could be, of course, these are long-lived assets which have been acquired for use in operation. So these items consist of the following, that would be land, building, and equipment, and some more. Like, for example, accumulated depreciation. Like, for example, your building and equipment. That means it will lessen the amount of your account. So that would be the asset. It will decrease your asset if you have accumulated depreciation. That means it decreases the worth or the value of that building, or let's say an equipment. So again, let's continue. We have here your notes. That would be land. So we have here land. How much is the land here? It's 1 million pesos. And for the building, we have, how much is the building? That would be 2 million pesos. And for your accumulated depreciation building, that would be 1. And take note, your 1,600,000 pesos is under credit. That means your asset decreases. Asset decreases when it is credited. So let's go back. I forgot. I need to select again. Okay, so we have here a 1,600,000 pesos. Take note, it should be negative, right? So, I mean, you have to subtract 1,600,000 pesos from your account. So we have to subtract. That's why we have here enclosed in parentheses. What if it is not been changed to that format? If your format is still like this, let me show it to you first. Okay. What if this is still your format? Sometimes Excel gives you this format, right? So that means you have to change that. Take note, we do not have negative for the value of money. So you have to just enclose that in parentheses for the deduction of your assets. So we have now equipment. How much is your equipment? Equipment, how much? It's 800,000 pesos. Accumulated depreciation of your equipment, that would be 250,000 pesos. In total, you have your, no. You still have accumulated depreciation, right? You just have to, again, subtract. Minus 250,000 pesos from your account. That would be, we have 1,950,000 pesos. So now we have your word payables. It's actually under your liabilities already. Take note of the term. For payables, we have liabilities. For receivables, we have assets. So we have accounts payable. Where is your accounts payable? Here's your accounts payable. We have 100. Take note, your liability increases when it is credited. Okay, so we have now interest payable. We have here interest payable, 65,000 pesos. And we have here salaries payable. We had already discussed these following terms last meeting, okay? If you do have question, you just have to open your module once again. Check your module for the definition of the terms. And we have unearned income. For your unearned income, we have 35,000 pesos. In total, we have 313,000 pesos. We do not have to subtract any of these following accounts because they are actually under liabilities, and all of this increases in, of course, liabilities account. So we have now your current portion. This is your long-term borrowings. So let's check your long-term borrowings, okay? Long-term borrowings. So we have here a long-term loan, correct? A long-term loan that is worth 1,450,000 pesos. So take note of this for a moment. Your note is, it is current portion. And we have non-current portion. That means within 1 year. It says that within 1 year, correct? Delete na. Wait lang, good. For a moment. Okay. So we have here your notes payable. That would be good for long-term loan. So what we're gonna do now is for you to identify the current and non-current portion. When we say current, that would be within 1 year, correct? If it's non-current, it could be more than a year. So we have here 50,000 within 1 year. That means our current portion is 50,000. So let's write 50,000 in here. 50,000 pesos for our current portion. And how about non-current portion? For non-current portion, we have here the remaining amount. What is 1,450,000 pesos minus 50,000 pesos? So we will have the remaining 1,400,000 pesos. So we will have this one. So in total, we have 1,450,000 pesos. So this will be the following accounts that we are going to use in your report and account form. So what I want you to do is to organize these following accounts in here. So what are you going to write first? It should be your current assets. So what are examples of your current assets? Students, you have to know, you have to be familiar of your following accounts. So we already answered the notes. So what you're gonna do is just focus in your notes. So we have the first notes. We have cash and cash equivalents. Okay, so we are going to use this one. So we have cash and cash equivalents. So let me just write it down. Okay, this would be cash and cash equivalents. And for the next current asset, that would be your trade and other receivables, correct? Just for a moment. For a moment, students. Okay, we have here your trade and receivables. For a moment. And for your other accounts, we also need to write your inventories. So if you're going to check your notes, let's go back to your notes here. These are the following accounts that we already use, right? So let me just highlight this first for you to see. So we have here cash. What else? In your notes receivable, we have these following accounts, right? Accounts receivable, allowance, notes receivable. So we have to highlight this following because we're going to use the accounts that will not be highlighted for your account, for your report and account form. Okay, so for a moment, we have also prepaid supplies and rent for your insurance. So we have here these three. And what else? You have your land, building, equipment, and accumulated depreciation for all of this. So let's use this also. Okay, so we're done with this. Now we have your accounts payable, salaries, utilities, and unearned income. So we have here this one, accounts payable. What else? This for all payables and income. Yeah, there should be 5. So there should be 5. Okay, good. Now we are going to have the current person and non-current person. So that would be, of course, for your long-term borrowings. So for long-term borrowings, you only have this one. So we just have to highlight this one. So we are going to use the following later on in our report form. So we already have trade and other receivables. Take note that your prepaid assets will be after your inventory. So we need to write first your inventory. This comes first, okay? So we have to write it down. Okay, and then what else do we have here? We have here your prepaid assets, correct? So we have your prepaid assets. For a moment, let me just write it down. So we have your prepaid assets and your total current assets. So what is your total current assets? So you have to use the following accounts. So you could use this one, cash and cash equivalent. How much is it again? Cash and cash equivalents, it's 20,000 pesos. So how about your trade and other receivables? Trade and other receivables, it's 100,000 pesos. How about inventory? How much is your inventory? We do not have inventory here. All right. Okay, this is our inventory. And then your prepaid assets. How much is your prepaid asset? It's 50,000 pesos. In total, we have 370,000 pesos for your current assets. So the same for your non-current asset. What non-current assets do we have here? What current non-current assets do we have there? We have property, plant, and equipment. So we are going to use that for our account here. No, we have to use this one, the word in here. Okay, again, we have to use this word for our accounts there. For a moment. So we have here this one. Okay, so what is our total property and plant? That would be 1,950,000 pesos. In total, we have 2,320,000 for our total assets. So we have to make sure it is balanced with our liabilities. The same with your liabilities, okay? So we're gonna do the same thing. So what would be the first one that we're gonna use? Depends to your illustration here. So we have here your payables, right? So that means we will have your trade and other receivables. Clear? We have here trade and other receivables. And then for your next account, what's next after payable? We have your, what's the next after payable? That would be your short-term borrowings. Did you see that one in your illustration? The short-term borrowings. That means short-term loan, okay? That's a loan. Loan is different to your notes payable. We did identify the short-term and long-term loan there. So we could say it is, of course, our short-term borrowings. So we're gonna write it down here. And how about the next one? What else do we have here? Your current portion of your borrowings. So take note of this current portion of your long-term borrowing. So we need to identify if it is current or non-current. Clear? We have to identify if it is current or non-current. So we need to identify now the following accounts. So we have fair trade and other payables here it is. So we have 313,000 pesos, and we have now for short-term borrowings. Actually, it is in your illustration. Okay, how about current portion? Current portion, we have here current portion for the long-term borrowings, 50,000 pesos. So in total, we have 563,000 pesos. And for the total non-current, I'm sorry, and under your non-current liabilities is your non-current portion of long-term borrowing. So we could just say long-term borrowings, okay? We do not need to say non-current. It is already we could easily identify that it is a long-term. We already have short-term borrowings, right? We already now have long-term borrowings. So what is our long-term borrowing? That would be 1,400,000. 1,400,000 pesos. And for your equity, we have here your owner's capital. That would be sorry, for a moment. I think I need to write it here. Okay. Equity is, of course, 357. Sorry. Wait lang, for a moment. So we have to write the account first, okay? So we have your owner's capital. We write the owner's capital first in our account. So let me write it down. Okay, and we have the amount. The amount is 357,000 pesos. And did you check the liability and the asset are equal? Okay, so you have to make sure it's equal. So you have to do the same thing with your account form. Clear, students? So I hope that you finish your task at the end of this week, before the week ends. And also prepare for your quiz on Thursday. Again, there will be quiz on Thursday. So make sure to finish the task. And of course, we already finished the discussion. So next meeting, you will just have your quiz. And if you did not finish some of your activities, you could also finish your activities next meeting. Clear? So students, if you have some questions or clarifications, you could PM me on Messenger also. Or if you want to, you could also play back the video, okay? A recorded video for this conference. So thank you, grade 12. See you next meeting, okay? Hope to see you again. I really missed you already. So have a great day. Bye, students. Thank you. For a moment.